Don't look at the windows. Part 1. It was my third night working the graveyard shift at the old roadside convenience store just off Route 19. The place had a strange feel to it. Too quiet, too still, like the building itself was holding its breath. I took the job because I needed the money fast, and no one else was hiring a guy like me on such short notice. The only warning I got was a yellowed paper taped behind the register. Donna T, look at the windows after 1 a.m. I laughed at it the first time I saw it, probably just some creepy tradition to haze the new guy. The guy who trained me barely said a word, but his hands shook when the clock hit 12:55. He kept glancing at the windows and mumbling under his breath. Right before he left, he told me not to go near them, no matter what I heard. I shrugged it off. The store was surrounded by nothing but trees, a dirt lot, and a single flickering lamp post. What could possibly be outside? The first 2 nights were uneventful. A few truckers, a couple of weirdos buying scratch-offs and energy drinks, and then total silence until dawn. I killed time organizing shelves and watching the security monitors. But on the third night, something changed. At 12:59 a.m., the lights above aisle 3 began to flicker rapidly. I went to check the wiring in the back, but everything looked fine. Then I heard the first sound, a soft tapping, like fingertips brushing glass. I froze. The tapping came again, stronger this time, and it was coming from the front of the store. Against my better judgment, I stepped out from behind the counter and crept toward the windows. I didn't get too close, just enough to see the edge of the glass. The tapping stopped. The clock hit 1:01. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a whisper slithered through the store like a hiss of steam. "Look at us." My breath caught in my throat. I inched forward, despite every instinct screaming at me not to. And then I looked. There were faces, dozens of them, pale, motionless, mouths stretched into grotesque grins. They weren't breathing. Their eyes were wide open, milky and glassy, like taxidermy. But the worst part? They were staring straight at me. And then, all at once, every face pressed closer to the glass, skin squishing, noses flattening, teeth bared. And they smiled wider. I stumbled backward, knocking over a rack of candy bars. The faces didn't move. They stayed plastered to the glass, unmoving, unblinking, those terrible grins stretching impossibly wide. I crawled behind the counter, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I grabbed the landline, but there was no dial tone, just a soft, wet, crackling sound like meat tearing apart. I dropped the receiver. The flickering lights above aisle 3 blew out with a loud pop. Then aisle 4. Then 5. One by one, the store grew darker, like something was swallowing the light from the inside. I reached for the flashlight under the counter, but before I could grab it, the automatic doors at the front let out a soft ding. They were opening. My blood turned to ice. I hadn't pressed anything. No one had triggered them. But when I peeked, the doors were still shut. The ding sounded again, this time louder, and the whisper followed. "We see you now." I ducked back down and slammed my eyes shut, trying to steady my breathing. There was a soft scuttling noise, like bare feet dragging slowly across linoleum. It circled behind the shelves, creeping up one aisle and down the next. Then came a low groan, a sound so deep it vibrated in my ribs, like something old was waking up. I stayed crouched for what felt like hours. But when I finally built up the nerve to peek again, the windows were empty. Every face was gone. The lights were still out in half the store, but nothing moved. I crept out from behind the counter, holding my breath, every footstep a betrayal. That's when I saw the handprint, pale, greasy, and long-fingered, smeared across the inside of the glass. 1, 2, then dozens of them, trailing down every window like someone had licked their palms and pressed them hard into the pane. Then the aisle mirror near the back fell and shattered. I ran to see what caused it. That's when I saw the back door was wide open. the one that had been locked and bolted from the inside, and on the ground, in the spill of light from the storage room, were wet footprints, bare, inhuman, leading into the store. I didn't breathe. Couldn't. My legs felt like iron rods as I stood staring at those footprints, each step soaking deeper into the floor, trailing away into the dark rows of shelves. I should have run, should have bolted for my car and never looked back. But something unnatural held me still, like I was being watched. No, not just watched. Hunted. I backed away slowly, gripping a box cutter I found on a supply crate, though I knew it'd be useless against whatever left those prints. I crept back to the front of the store, every shadow twisting, every creak of the ceiling tiles making my heart slam harder. Then I noticed the monitors above the counter. All 4 security feeds had gone fuzzy, except one. Aisle 7. On the screen, something was standing perfectly still between the snack rack and the freezer. It looked human, but wrong. Its limbs were too long, bent the wrong way. Its head twitched with small mechanical jerks like it wasn't used to wearing a body. Then it turned. Not with its feet. Its whole upper body rotated like it was mounted on a hinge, and it stared directly into the camera. That's when the screen cut to black. I ducked behind the counter again, gripping the box cutter tighter. The whispers came back, but they weren't just in the store anymore. They were inside my head. Dozens of voices layered over each other. You saw. You shouldn't have seen. Now you're part of the window. The lights flickered back on with a loud snap. Everything looked normal. Shelves stocked, windows clean. No handprints, no faces. I stumbled toward the exit, half expecting something to grab me, but nothing did. I ran to my car, fumbled with the keys, and didn't stop driving until the sun cracked the horizon. When I got home, I told myself it had been a hallucination, sleep deprivation, stress. Maybe I even believed it. Until the next morning, when the police showed up. They said a man named Elias, the guy who trained me, was found in the supply closet. His face was frozen in a grin so wide it tore the skin at the corners of his mouth. His eyes had been scooped clean out of their sockets. And on the inside of the supply closet door, scrawled in what looked like blood, were 4 words. Don't look at them. I quit that day, thought it was over. But every night since, at 1:01 a.m., I wake up to tapping at my bedroom window. And I live on the 3rd floor.